Relationships are central to our lives. They shape our identities, influence our perspectives, and are a major source of joy and fulfillment. Whether they involve a partner, a close friend, or a family member, relationships have the power to uplift us, but they also have the potential to bring challenges and heartache. Relationships are not without their difficulties. They demand effort, understanding, and a willingness to continually nurture the bond between two people. But despite our best intentions, there can come a time when a relationship starts to falter. The connection that once felt so strong may begin to weaken, replaced by feelings of distance or frustration. These are the early warning signs of a relationship in trouble, and it's vital to recognize them, not as a signal to give up, but as an opportunity to intervene and heal what is starting to unravel. Before we dive into these signs, it's essential that we differentiate between a relationship that's struggling and one that is fundamentally unhealthy. A struggling relationship is one that's facing challenges but still has the potential to be saved. These are relationships worth investing in, as they can be mended and strengthened through effort and mutual understanding. Conversely, an unhealthy relationship is one that's harmful to the individuals involved. It's marked by toxic behaviors, manipulation, control, abuse, or a profound lack of respect. These relationships, no matter how much effort is put into them, often need to be ended for the well-being of those involved. Now, with that in mind, let's focus on recognizing the early signs that a relationship might be heading down a difficult path. Signs that, if addressed in time, could allow for healing and growth. These indicators aren't necessarily a sign that the relationship is doomed. Rather, they signal that attention and care are needed. One of the most telling signs that a relationship may be in trouble is a breakdown in communication. Communication is the cornerstone of any relationship. It's how we share our thoughts, feelings, and concerns. When this communication starts to break down, it's often a sign that something deeper is wrong. You might notice that conversations that once came naturally now feel forced or awkward. Maybe there's a growing hesitation to express your thoughts or emotions, or maybe misunderstandings are becoming more frequent, leading to frustration and conflict. When communication starts to falter, there's a natural tendency to avoid difficult conversations, hoping that the issues will simply resolve themselves. But avoidance rarely solves anything. Instead, it tends to breed resentment and further misunderstandings. If you find the communication in your relationship a sign that the relationship is in jeopardy. Maybe arguments that once seemed minor now escalate into major disputes. Maybe you and your partner find yourselves disagreeing on fundamental issues, or there's a growing sense of irritation in your interactions. Conflict in itself isn't inherently negative. It can be a catalyst for growth. But when conflict becomes a constant presence, it can erode the relationship's foundation and foster feelings of bitterness and resentment. If you're noticing a rise in conflict, it's important to take a step back and consider what might be driving it. Are there underlying issues that haven't been addressed? Are there patterns of behavior that need to change? By getting to the root of the conflict and finding healthy ways to resolve it, you can prevent it from damaging the relationship any further. Another signal that a relationship may be on shaky ground is when one or both partners stop putting in the necessary effort. Relationships require ongoing investment. They don't thrive on autopilot. When the effort starts to wane, the relationship can begin to suffer. This might show up as a lack of interest in spending time together, a decline in romantic gestures, or just a general sense of apathy. It's important to remember that relationships are dynamic. They need to be continually nurtured and cared for. If you or your partner are no longer making the effort to maintain the relationship, it might be time to reassess your priorities. Reinvesting in the relationship can mean making a conscious effort to spend more quality time together, finding new ways to connect, or just reminding yourselves why you fell in love. A decline in respect or admiration is another warning sign. In a healthy relationship, partners hold each other in high esteem. They appreciate each other's qualities, they respect each other's opinions, and they value each other's contributions. But when respect starts to erode, it can lead to a breakdown in the relationship. This may manifest itself as a criticism, belittling, or a lack of appreciation. Respect is foundational to any strong relationship, and once it's lost, it can be challenging, if not impossible, to regain. If you notice that respect is fading in your relationship, it's vital to address it promptly. This might involve having a candid conversation about your feelings, practicing empathy, and making a conscious effort to show appreciation for one another. Physical intimacy is another critical aspect of most romantic relationships, and a decline in this area can be a sign that something's wrong. This could manifest as a lack of sexual desire, a reduction in physical affection, or a general feeling of disconnection in the bedroom. Physical intimacy isn't just about sex. It's about the physical closeness that helps strengthen the emotional bond. If you notice a decline in physical intimacy, it's important to talk about it openly. This might involve discussing your needs and desires, finding new ways to connect physically, or simply making an effort to be more affectionate. Resentment is another sign that a relationship may be in trouble. Resentment is a toxic emotion that can slowly poison a relationship. It might start as a small annoyance, but over time it can build into deep-seated bitterness. This often happens when issues remain unresolved or when one partner feels that their needs aren't being met. If you sense that, resentment is creeping into your relationship, it's crucial to address it before it takes root. This might involve having a difficult conversation, but a necessary one at that. May involve practicing forgiveness, or maybe seeking the help of a therapist to work through those underlying issues. Another red flag is a lack of shared goals or values. In a healthy relationship, partners typically share common goals and values that guide their decisions and actions. But when these begin to diverge, it can create a sense of disconnection and conflict. This might manifest as disagreements about significant life decisions, like whether to have children, where to live, or how to manage your finances. If you and your partner are no longer aligned in your goals and values, it's important to discuss this openly. It might involve talking about your priorities or making compromises to accommodate each other's needs and desires. A decline in emotional support is another indicator of a relationship in distress. Emotional support is a cornerstone of any healthy relationship. It's about being there for each other in times of need, offering comfort and understanding. When this support starts to fade, it can leave one or both partners feeling isolated and alone. If you notice a decline in emotional support, it's important to address it as soon as possible. This might involve being more attentive to your partner's needs, or simply offering words of encouragement during tough times. As we consider these early warning signs, it's important to remember that they don't necessarily signal the end of a relationship. I've done a video on the end of relationships. I want this to be a more hopeful one. Relationships are complex and constantly evolving. The most crucial aspect is how we respond to these signs. When we recognize that something is off, we have a choice. We can ignore it and hope it goes away, or we can take proactive steps to address the issue and strengthen that relationship. It's also vital to understand the difference between a relationship that's struggling and one that's fundamentally unhealthy, as I said earlier. A struggling relationship is one that's facing challenges, but still has that potential to be saved. Again, these relationships are worth fighting for, as they can be repaired and strengthened through effort, communication, and mutual understanding. Unhealthy relationships are damaging to one or both of the individuals involved. That's the one that's characterized by those toxic behaviors. These, again, need to be ended. Now, when we recognize the early warning signs of a failing relationship, we have an opportunity to take action. We can consciously choose to invest in the relationship, to rebuild that connection that brought you together in the first place. This requires effort, patience, and a willingness to be vulnerable. It requires open and honest communication, empathy, and a commitment to growth. But the rewards of doing so are immeasurable. When we invest in our relationships, we create a foundation of trust, respect, and love that can weather any storm. We build a partnership that's resilient, that can adapt to change, and that can grow strong